just want you to remember this is not my fault.
Let me see if I'm hearing you correctly. We're about to have our airtight case thrown out of court?
That's what they just told me.
So you're telling me that the work of an entire squad from this office over the period of 2 years has been compromised by...
The defense has moved for a dismissal, and it looks like it's going to happen. Both defendants are going to walk.
And the defense team told the media folks why, and we're going to be front page.
And this is all because we lost 2 critical documents? So the judge found that this error on the government's part led to an adverse inference, with the jury assuming that we purposely withheld the documents. Do I have that right?
Apparently, Agent Howard didn't know the documents belonged in the case file.
Even more troubling is that we may have missed an opportunity to catch one of the bad guys before he left the country, because no intelligence report was prepared. It's too much. Get Howard in here!
Agent Howard is going to get a lesson on information management. It's a lesson you can learn without doing it the hard way.
Welcome to Information Management.
According to the FBI, it's a big topic, right, Tim?
It sure is, Beth. But our job in this program is simply to give you an overview of the FBI's record-keeping systems and your responsibilities.
We have got a lot to cover, so I guess we should get right into it.
But before we do that, I want to tell them where they can find more information about records management than we'll cover here today. You can find additional information at the Records Management Division's website. It's rmd.fbinet.fbi. That site again is rmd.fbinet.fbi. A copy of this script will be posted at this location with links to related sources of additional information. Now you can let it roll.
Okay. You just cannot underestimate the role of information in the execution of our work.
That's right. Information is a vital ingredient in everything we do, critical to the success of every investigation, every intelligence gathering initiative, every prosecution.
Our field correspondent, Mishi, can provide more information on that. Mishi?
I sure can, Beth. We create and receive an enormous quantity of information in every conceivable format. Each item, no matter how many there are, no matter in what form, no matter where it is located, is a valuable Bureau resource and provides the information we need to do our jobs. And let's not underestimate that. What we do helps keep America and her citizens safe and secure. And as I'm sure you'll agree, Beth, we just can't underestimate the importance of that role, right?
That's right, Mishi. The effective management of the information Mishi just described is called records management. Just how critical is records management to what we do?
We already know the answer to that. Without effective professional records management, the FBI would not be able to find information we need or comply with the many laws and regulations governing federal information. Beth?
And that's why we need to make sure we have a good understanding of records management. For instance, who does records management? The answer to that, and the other questions like it, will help us better understand the whole process and our individual roles in it.
The simple answer to your question is that we all do. Successful, effective records management really depends on you.
To aid in our success, the Records Management Division at headquarters establishes policies and procedures defining responsibilities for records management. In addition, it provides training opportunities that range from classroom to web-based training through the FBI's Virtual Academy. But to make those policies effective, all FBI employees must know and understand their responsibilities, and then make it happen.
You've heard the maxim, all politics is local.
Sure.
It's just as true that all records management is local. In other words, it has to happen at every office, in every division, every RA, every legat.
Well, Tim, I think that answers the question about who does records management. But here's another one for you. What is a record?
A record is material. regardless of physical format, created or received by a federal agency, including employees, contractors, and others, containing information regarding the agency's official business, and preserved or appropriate for preservation because of its administrative, legal, investigative, intelligence, physical, or informational value.
Don't worry if you didn't get that paraphrased description. The legal definition is posted on our website at rmd.fbinet.fbi.
In simple terms, anything you as an FBI employee or contractor create or receive in the process of carrying out your FBI responsibilities is likely to be a federal record. Some records are short-term temporary records that may never leave your desk or computer. Others are long-term records that probably will be filed in the Bureau's central case management system.
So, it sounds like a lot of the materials we handle are records, which of course raises the question, what is not a record? There certainly must be some items we handle that just don't fall into that category.
There are. For example, blank copies of forms, library materials, extra copies of records maintained just for your convenience, and most working files aren't records. Items that are seized by the Bureau for use in a particular case are likely to be evidence, not records. For more details on evidence, check the Laboratory Division's website. Now, here's a question for you. What are my responsibilities for records? Because if I'm an FBI employee, I'm probably going to have to handle enough records that I better know that.
You're right about that, Beth. Well, first, you're responsible for documenting the activities and decisions you make as part of your FBI job. In many situations, if you don't document a matter and document it close to the time it occurred, you may have no clear memory of it later. In terms of legal admissibility, anything documented at the time it occurred is more easily accepted as accurate in court or in various administrative hearings.
Also, creating a record of activities, decisions, and plans allows the public and the government to hold us and the FBI accountable. Our system of government is based on the accountability of all governmental officials to the public and to the other arms of government, the Congress, the Judiciary, Inspectors General, and others. It's not a matter of choice on your part. You will be held accountable if you fail to keep records of your activities. And there are specific procedures for filing your documents. Mishi, I believe you've got some specifics on that for us, right?
I sure do. Once you create a record, you then must place it in an accessible filing location, accessible to whoever would need to retrieve it later. If it's only a tickler document to remind you, and you only, of a pending deadline, that document may be filed in your personal paper or electronic folders. If it's a document that others in your squad or unit might need to access, then the document must be filed in a shared drive or in the squad's or division's paper files. If it's a document that might need to be made available to others outside your division, or it's an integral part of a case, then that document must be serialized and uploaded into the Bureau's Central Case Management System. You're going to hear that term, case management system, a lot during the rest of this program, so please remember it.
And remember that filing just means that you group a document with other closely related documents. Filing can be a drag and drop action with your computer mouse or walking to a file cabinet and placing a paper document in a paper file folder. The most substantive documents are filed in our central case management system or in our intelligence dissemination systems. And that leads to this question. What are my responsibilities when I file a record in a central system? Sharing critical information with others inside and outside the Bureau is one of the most important things we do.
You bet it is, Beth. We're going to review the general procedures, but you will want to go to the intranet website for detailed instructions on all of these matters. Marcus is also joining us in the field. He can review those procedures for us, right?
I sure can. Let's look at some of those steps you'll need to follow to record information into the case management system. Your first responsibility in filing a record is to mark all documents with the appropriate national security classification level, such as sensitive but unclassified, SBU, unclassified, U, secret, S, and so on. Next, identify the appropriate case file. The majority of the FBI's mission-oriented or program records are arranged in case files related to a filing classification number. Each filing classification relates to a particular violation or law, intelligence subject area, or administrative topic. By the way, each case opened under a particular filing classification is primarily owned by one field or headquarters division. The owner is the Office of Origin, or OO, for that case. All of the actions reported on that case are serialized and uploaded into the one OO number for that case, even if other divisions or offices are creating and serializing documents. A typical current file number consists of a classification number, a one-digit alpha designation for subdivisions under that file classification, a two-letter designation for the Office of Origin, and a seven-digit or less case number. There are other kinds of files that will require different designations, such as control files, for instance, are opened for the purpose of administering specific aspects of an investigative or intelligence program. Control files are not created for every classification. These files are designated with the letter C before the case number. Miscellaneous documents that do not rise to the level of opening a case are filed under zero files. Zero files are opened for every investigative or intelligence filing classification. Each document within a case is assigned a consecutive number, the serial number. The next step in properly recording a file is to index the required information. Remember that names only have to be indexed once for a case, not every time the name is mentioned. The primary indexing is done at the case level.
Thank you, Marcus. Now, let's take a look at another important question. Exactly what are the indexing requirements? Well, the purpose of indexing is to record individual names, non-individual names such as corporations, groups, internet addresses, and so on, and property, which are relevant to FBI investigations for future retrieval. Full text retrieval, in other words, searching the entire text of documents rather than indices, hasn't proved to be an effective way to find information fast and doesn't replace the standard indexing requirements.
There are two types of index records, main and reference index records. Main index records are prepared on individual and non-individual names that are the subject or focus of an investigation. The majority of these names are found in the title or subject line of a document. Reference index records are prepared on individual names and non-individual names which are not in the title of a file and are therefore not a known subject or target of a current investigation. The majority of these names are found in the body of a document. You do not need to index those who had no connection to the case but were merely vetted in the process, such as hotel guest lists or airline passenger manifests.
Mandatory index records must be made or entered into the general index on the following: case title information, which includes names of subjects, recipients of subpoenas, individuals polygraphed, stop notices for persons or property, cooperative witnesses, and zero file matters. The relative uniqueness of a name is determined by obtaining, documenting, and indexing necessary biographical information, such as birth date, birthplace, sex, race, social security number, FBI number, and other numbers, such as military serial number, selective service number, and Chinese telegraphic code, also known as Standard Telegraphic Code, or STC.
Supervisors will not approve the closing of cases until the name, all aliases, and all other available or reasonably obtainable identifying data for all individual subject records are recorded in the General Index. These are the minimum mandatory indexing requirements.
It also should be noted that all witnesses or persons interviewed or contacted by the FBI are not routinely indexed. Such indexing is discretionary, but should not be done indiscriminately. For example, there must be some basis for the position that the information index may be necessary for future retrieval.
Examples of discretionary indexing are suspects, close relatives and associates of subjects, victims and complainants, witnesses or others contacted, property, computer addresses, email addresses, and internet addresses.
After the appropriate supervisor reviews and approves any document to be entered into the case management system, it's uploaded electronically into the system and indexed. Use the web-enabled uploading process to make this easier. Remember, the printed and approved paper copy belongs in the case file after the serial number is written on it. Sounds like duplicate work, right? So, why do it?
Well, Tim, the two formats of the document serve different purposes. The electronic copy is a reference copy, immediately accessible to others in the Bureau. All documents serialized in the case management system should also be uploaded electronically, if possible. Both the Inspection Division and RMD periodically inspect the case management system to determine the percentages of uploaded documents for each division. Only a division's AD can approve you're not uploading the text of a serialized document into the case management system. Also, only an AD can approve you're restricting access to a case. The general rule is to share information whenever possible.
The paper copy is still the record copy, since it's the most complete, including incoming paper documents as well as FBI-generated documents.
Tim, before we go on any further, let's review what should be included into the case management system. For investigative or intelligence case files, all documents with substantive information not already duplicated in the file should be uploaded. For administrative case files, only upload documents that need to be disseminated outside of the creating division or office, or those that need to be accessed by more than one division or office. Administrative records that don't have to be uploaded can be maintained within your own division or squad in a shared drive or paper files. Both electronic and paper folders, however, must be marked with a filing classification number, usually a classification 319, so that you'll know when they can be destroyed.
For those records you don't file in the case management system, you need to keep electronic or paper folders organized in an approved file plan. So, what is a file plan? A file plan is a roadmap or a table of contents of an office's records. Only groups or categories of records should be identified on the file plan, not individual documents. The file plan should list records in all media, including paper, electronic, and audiovisual. Each office is encouraged to maintain a current copy of all file plans for review by the Inspection Division and RMD. The file plans help to implement cutoffs.
One of the issues your office is going to be dealing with is file cutoffs, and that may affect work you are holding. A file cutoff is the point at which files change from active to closed or inactive.
The purpose of file cutoffs is to identify and control records in manageable blocks, usually by either fiscal or calendar year. Perhaps the most crucial function of file cutoffs is that they provide a systematic way to reduce the overcrowding of office space with unneeded files. Most file cutoffs are determined either by date or by occurrence of an action or event. The cutoff for investigative files would be when the files were closed. Many administrative files are not managed as case files and are not cut off based on an event or action. These files are usually only needed in the office for business purposes for a year or two. For records such as these that are maintained continuously, a cutoff must be imposed, usually on a calendar year basis.
So now the question is, when can you destroy a record? And who can do it? We know the answer to that, too. Or at least Mishi does.
Only the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, can provide authorities to destroy a federal record. RMD's Records Disposition Unit prepares all Bureau requests for destruction authority and liaisons with NARA to get the authorities. These authorities may change, so don't rely on outdated statements in previously issued policy documents, such as MAOP or MIOG. Contact RDU and consult their website for all currently valid instructions on records destruction. The unauthorized destruction of federal records is a violation of law, with penalties ranging from fines to incarceration. Marcus, how does the disposition process work?
The FBI offices cut off inactive records after certain periods and transfer them to storage. After about 25 years, closed case files are destroyed or transferred to RMD. The Records Disposition Unit oversees the processing and transfer to NARA of eligible case files. When the future Central Records Complex is built, RMD will have space to receive, store, and retrieve on demand all closed case files from all field divisions. That will provide enormous savings in space and staff costs across the country.
While we're on the subject of disposing of documents, what about deleting an electronic record or a database on my computer? Beth, what can you tell us about that?
The answer is the same, whether the record is electronic, paper, or any other medium. Only NARA can provide authorities to destroy a federal record. The Records Disposition Unit prepares all Bureau requests for destruction authority and liaisons with NARA to get the authorities. The office requesting destruction of electronic records, including databases, must prepare an EC describing the records and asking for destruction approval from the Records Disposition Unit. Remember, however, that no record, electronic or paper, can be destroyed when it's the subject of a current FOIA request, IG, or other inquiry, litigation, or discovery request.
You've got an email.
Oh, I guess that's our cue to talk about emails. Electronic mail, email, is a frequent means of communication within the FBI, and many email messages are records. An email message is a record if it contains information that's pertinent to an investigation, an intelligence gathering effort, a significant administrative matter, or to other official FBI functions, and the information is not duplicated in Bureau files. The creator or recipient of an email communication must make a determination as to whether the message fits the definition of a record.
An email message is probably a record if the message documents agreements reached in meetings, telephone conversations, or other email exchanges on substantive matters relating to FBI investigative or other activities. The message provides comments on or objections to the language in drafts of significant policy statements or action plans. The message supplements information in official files and adds to a complete understanding of FBI operations and responsibilities. Or, you or your successor would need to reference this email in the future in carrying out your responsibilities.
Email records related to Bureau cases must be printed to paper, approved, serialized, and maintained in the appropriate case file. In order to increase access, the full text of these email records should also be uploaded into the case management system. If any doubt exists about whether an email is a record, it should be treated as a record and incorporated into Bureau files. Email records cannot be deleted from the email system unless a copy has been incorporated into a paper-based or electronic record-keeping system. Email communication systems such as GroupWise, Outlook, and other similar ones are not record-keeping systems.
Emails that are not records include such messages as anniversary, retirement, and other general announcements, notices of upcoming meetings, working copies, most drafts, and other notifications of a personal or transitory nature. These types of non-record messages should be deleted when no longer needed.
Instructions on how to upload email records into the case management system can be found on RMD's website.
We all create working copies and drafts of documents during a project or case. So, how should they be handled according to records management standards? The answer is that drafts should be maintained until the final product is completed or approved. Until a final product is approved, the most recent draft is retained as the record of the activity.
The largest volume of records in any organization is always administrative records. They are also the ones with the shortest retention periods, usually less than 7 years. In order to make sure these short-term records do not use up all our storage space and are not kept beyond their useful lifespan, RMD issued a new list of administrative case file numbers in January 2005 as part of Classification 319. Each case title has a legal expiration date built in. These case numbers may be used for the case management system, division shared drive files, and division, office, squad, and unit localized paper files. For more information regarding the 319 classification, take the 319 web-based training in the Virtual Academy or consult the searchable database on our website. You've been given a lot to absorb in this program, so what we want to do now is take a look at how this process works in a real situation. Mishi, I see you're with a special agent who might help us do that.
I sure am, Beth. Let me introduce you to Joseph Cabrera. Joe is a special agent at one of our field offices. Joe, how about walking us through some of the steps that we've talked about in this program?
Sure. My partner, Detective Carolyn Steyer from the local PD, and I, who are both members of the JTTF, received a call from the county police department. The call indicated that their officers had conducted a traffic stop and, as a result, arrested a gentleman on an outstanding warrant. During a search of his vehicle, they found cameras, videotapes, photos, highlighted maps, and computer disks of the D.C. metropolitan area. Of particular note, the photos depicted locations such as ports, bridges, overpasses, memorials, and other critical sites in the area. He had false identification and various fraudulent passports. As a result, Detective Steyer and I initiated an interview of the suspect. In the course of the interview, he agreed to cooperate, and he said he was a member of a radical anti-government group and was tasked by an unknown individual to survey targets in the U.S. Tell us more.
I guess I would be right in assuming that you needed to document that interview.
Right. Information like this, as you can imagine in these times, can be pretty critical. I wrote an FD 302 on the interview and one on the evidence that was seized. When I finished the 302, I took it to my supervisor for review. He noted that it had intelligence value and suggested I send it to the FIG.
FIG?
Oh, Field Intelligence Group.
Oh, okay.
The FIG reports officer, Christina, agreed. She also felt that the intelligence information in the 302 needed to be shared. So she prepared an intelligence information report in the FBI's web-based intelligence dissemination system. I reviewed the IIR with the reports officer, and when we finished it, she sent it to the HQ for review. The supervisor said that this might be a serious threat and to notify the U.S. attorney. The supervisor also approved the 302 and the opening of the case. I circled the names of the subjects of the investigation and their descriptors, and I underlined names of references. I instructed my records assistant, Kent Allen, to open the case and prepare index records. He uploaded it and then put the original signed paper copy in the file. And let's see what else. Oh, yes. I notified my supervisor about personnel who were TDY in Pakistan who might be able to help us on the case. I also sent an email requesting and justifying case funds for extensive travel.
So you use email a lot? Let me ask you a couple of questions about emails. For starters, how are they handled as records?
Records? I don't think emails are necessarily records, but the records liaison knows more about the email's policies than I do. It's Dr. Nuri.
Good idea. Marcus is standing by, and he may be able to get that information for us. Marcus?
I can do that. I'm here with Dr. Ada Nuri. Dr. Nuri, we need to get clarification on determining which emails are records and which aren't.
Well, some are records, some aren't. It all depends on their content and use.
Well, Agent Cabrera provided us with the 3 emails he mentioned in his conversation with Mishi, so let's use these as an example.
Okay.
What about this one? This is an email regarding the drafts of an IIR.
This is a good example of an email that's a very short-term record. It could be destroyed once the IIR is completed. This contains only comments on a draft and has no long-term value.
Here's one. Noting that there are TDYs already in Pakistan who might be able to assist on the case.
Another short-term email, but probably one that should be kept longer than 90 days in a place accessible to others in the division or squad, either in the shared drive or the division's paper files.
One more. This is an email requesting and justifying funds.
That's a good example of a longer-term record that belongs with an administrative case file. It should be uploaded and a paper copy be put in the file. Any others?
That's all, thanks. It's very helpful to have an expert close at hand.
Thank you.
Mishi, I know you and Agent Cabrera were watching that. Does that help clarify some issues?
It sure does for me. Agent Cabrera?
Sure does.
Good. Now, I have another question for you. Let me ask you about the system's retrieval capability. How does that work?
Well, I'll give you an example. During the course of this investigation, I found that I needed critical information from an old case. I checked with our records liaison to see if the file was in the field or at HQ. It happened to be an HQ file maintained at the Alexandria Records Center. So I put a request into the fax system on the FBI net. When they received my request, the staff at ARC pulled the file request and the file and notified me that they had what I was looking for, since I needed the entire case file, not just a few serials. It was charged out to me for 90 days. The ARC will copy and fax smaller volume requests. One thing they're pretty rigid about is your responsibility for any original files you get from ARC. The bottom line is you own it.
You own it? In other words, it's your responsibility to monitor where that material is as long as it's charged out to you.
Right. And they don't make exceptions to that. In fact, Agent Bartlett in our office needed the same material, so when I was finished, I transferred it to him. But I made sure that I made a change in the charge-out record in fax to make sure they knew Bartlett owned it now.
Well, this has been helpful, Agent Cabrera. Anything else you want to add?
No, I know that information management takes time and may seem complex, but it is worth it. Information is our most critical resource.
Joe, thank you for all your help.
You're welcome.
Well, Marcus, did you follow all of that information from Agent Cabrera?
I sure did. I think we covered a lot of important information on emails, don't you?
I do. I think that about wraps it up for me here, so I'm transferring ownership to you. As you can see for yourself, the process gives everyone the best chance to ensure effective records management. The bottom line, the system works. Back to you, Tim and Beth.
Thanks, Mishi. The system works. But as with any aspect of FBI work, we're always looking for ways to improve and to take advantage of new technology. One such improvement that's in development now is called the Enterprise RMA, or Records Management Application.
RMA will enable us to have a comprehensive electronic record-keeping system. So let's go back to Marcus, who can give us more information on that.
I can do just that, Beth. The RMA will maintain the electronic record copy of your records in an authentic, reliable, and unchanging data store. It'll also eliminate mandatory printing out of electronic documents for paper files. And all incoming records will be scanned and saved digitally after verification. Once again, no paper record will be required as long as the original form is not of unique value, such as signed confessions or agent's notes. I recently visited with the people who are working to prepare the RMA for incorporation into our records management process. Are you ready to demonstrate the RMA for us, Agent Lang?
I sure am.
Good. Why don't you just take it from here?
Okay. Let's say I need a specific piece of information. With the Enterprise RMA system, I type in keywords, just like I do now when I make an internet search. On a page that resembles what I might see on a Google search, I click on the record I think I want. The document will appear. Then...
Let me stop you for a moment. What if this is not the document you were looking for?
Sure. Okay. Let's assume this isn't the one I wanted. I simply return to the list and continue the search. Let's say the next document I look at is the right one. I click, and the system asks me if I want to order it. I do, but I notice it's still in paper form.
So I guess you can still go ahead and order, but you'll have to wait for a paper copy?
If we were on a previous system, yes. But with RMA, I go ahead, order it, and the system automatically generates an email that's sent to CRC's Record Center. A CRC customer service representative receives the email with the specifics of the request, then interfaces with RMA's repository locator to find the exact location of the record in the shelves. An operator pulls the box, scans the barcode on the box, then takes the document to a small scanner and scans it into the RMA. I get an email from the CRC rep with my document imaged as an attachment.
That's impressive, and a lot more efficient. How long does that whole process take?
It can all happen in a matter of minutes. And now, since my document has been scanned, it will be available electronically to any subsequent requester.
Thank you for that, Agent Lang. Not a bad system to look forward to, huh?
Looks good to me. And thanks, Marcus and Mishi, for all your help today. Well, Tim, are you impressed?
I sure am. RMA will be a real asset, but it's not ready yet. So don't start destroying any paper files, at least not without permission from the Records Disposition Unit.
We have covered a lot here today, but it's all important. You see, good records management can help you succeed in whatever task you have. Conversely, poor records management can bring us all unwanted notoriety on the front pages of the Washington Post and New York Times, as well as negative evaluations.
So, which is it to be? It all starts with you. If you have questions, talk to your division's records liaison today. They are your local help desk for records matters.
The Records Management Division has created the necessary guidance and provided training, but we can't get the job done without you.
So, let's all pull together and make effective records management a priority.
Remember, it matters. It matters to the Bureau. It matters to you.